Okay, it's live. I'm gonna wait for people to show up though.
There you go.
It doesn't look like it's having any glitches, so it should work fine with the data.
Mine doesn't even show it's live.
It will. It just takes a second. Trust me. It takes a second. See? Popped up. Takes a minute for it to load in. See? I'll wait for people to show up. Start eating my Jimmy John side. See? People joining in. See how the mics work. Let me know if they sound good. We're just trying them out. I got these DJI mini mics. I think I posted about them, but we'll see how they turn out audio-wise. Should be able to hear it pretty well. We tried them out a little bit ago, and it sounds pretty good, even with the little bit of wind here. Sounds good. Okay, perfect. Oh, all right. There we go. If you guys have any questions or whatever, we'll try to answer them to the best of our abilities. We can see the chat. I just wanted to try these mics out kind of and also just connect with you guys a little bit before we get to chase season here, because we're still about a month and a half out, I think, is kind of mainly what I was thinking, because it's into the first week of February, so yeah, about a month and a half until we might actually start chasing. All right. Let me know if you have any questions.
Don't this or this.
I'll take this one first. I think these mics work pretty well, though. And it sounded like when I tried the video, it actually sounded pretty decent. So you guys said that they were working, so that's good. But like when I use for like when I chase this year, I'm going to wear one always so then you guys can hear me a lot better instead of how it used to be where it was the car sounds mostly. And they should do a pretty good job blocking the wind out. Like, it's windy right now to an extent. I mean, I don't think they have too much wind sound.
I wonder if we can. What got you interested in meteorology?
I used to be like really scared of weather, actually. Oh, hold on one second. Shut this. I'm going to shut this so it doesn't spill over. Okay, yeah, I can hear it. Ugh. Hold on. All right, I used to be like really scared of like storms and stuff when I used to be younger. So I don't know, like I just think at some point that turned to more like actually being interested in them. So I think like learning about it helped a lot about like how nervous I used to be. So I think just over time it kind of switched from being like scared to just being more like interested in it. I don't know. It was something like that because I remember a long time ago when I was like a kid, whenever I heard there was going to be storms, it was like terrible. Now it's the exact opposite. So, but yeah.
Someone asked, what's your favorite thing about storms?
I don't know. Basically everything. I really like lightning. Is really cool. But I do think I like just the like how it feels like it's living almost. Like I just think it's cool. Like every storm's different and you kind of just, I don't know. I think that's a good question because there's a lot of ways you can go at it. Like what part is your favorite or like what about it? But I think just about it's like, it just feels like a living thing and you're just kind of like, it's like you're hunting it. I don't know. It's something like that. I don't know. It's fun. It's really enjoyable. And I like making the videos afterward. That's always really fun to look back through and see what you got and what you didn't get.
Someone also asked, storm chasing movie.
The original Twister, I'd say. I'd say second is the new Twister. I actually enjoyed that movie. It was pretty decent. I did not think it was going to be as good as it was, but it really ended up being not a bad movie at all. So, yeah, I'd say Twister and then Twisters is number 2. I'm trying to think of the other movies. I know Into the Storm was not too bad. It was a little more cheesy. I mean, obviously they're going to be cheesy. They're a storm chasing movie, but I think Into the Storm was a little too cheesy. But I think Twister is easily number 1. Which also could just be because of nostalgia, but Twisters was like actually a quality movie. Like I remember there being a good storyline and everything. It felt like a pretty well put together movie. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Twister was such like a main driver for a lot of storm chasing, especially in the 90s and like early 2000s. I mean, so many of the people that watched that movie became storm chasers. Favorite tornado of 2025? I'd say it probably was Dickens, the one, or Wellfleet, whatever you want to call it. It was closer to the city of, or town of Dickens, but everybody calls it Wellfleet anyways. But I think that was probably the best one. I like Gary, but I think Wellfleet just had a was more of my kind of tornado. I like that more laminar, like stovepipe look instead of like a thinner one. All-time favorite storm? I'd say okay. So, Corden, Iowa, June 7th, 2022 was probably one of my favorites that I've ever seen. I don't know. Some of you guys may not even know about that one because I probably haven't made very many videos or posts about it on YouTube, and a lot of you guys followed more in the last year and a half. So maybe I'll make a post on that at some point. But yeah, it was a gorgeous, just supercell thunderstorm at about 2.5 inch hail, and I was the only person on it. The next would be like Bethany. It was Bethany, Missouri, and I think it was May 6th, 2024, if I remember right. 2023, I think is what it was. And it was just a beautiful storm. And you guys probably have seen that one. I use it for a lot of different things, that photo. But that one was producing like 4 inch hail. I mean, that one was crazy. And then it later produced, I can't remember what was the town? I can't remember what the town was, but it produced like a massive wedge tornado at night. And I was not there because we had left, but I can't remember what it was called, what the town was. Anyways, let's see. Pick out Morton was a really cool tornado, that's for sure. Either of them, both Mortons. Yeah, I'd say definitely Mount Air is the most impressive tornado. Number two would be Greenfield, though, for sure, because that thing had some insane movement. That one point, when I have that one picture that looks like it's running, it was those vortices were just flying, which obviously Mount Air was too, but you could tell Greenfield was violent. You could tell Mount Air was like EF2 to EF, maybe up to EF3 if it hits up, but I really don't think it was that strong. And you can tell by the videos. But man, Greenfield, you could really tell. Even early on, it was a beast.
Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
Seahawks. I don't even think it's going to be close. Unfortunately. But, I mean, I don't really care. I'm a Vikings fan, so either way, it doesn't really matter to me. But I do think the Seahawks are going to easily win. I think their defense is too good. And I do think the Patriots are good, but I think their defense is decent. And I don't think it's good enough to stop Kenneth Walker and even Sam Darnold. I don't know how he'll play, but he played pretty well in the conference championship. But I think JSN will have a lot of yards. I do think that. I think he'll have over 150, probably easily. Yes, I have heard of that tornado, and I could make a video on it at some point. All right, there we go. Yeah, these mics work well. It's fun to be able to just put it up to your mouth like that, too. And be able to set them down. They're going to work well for chasing season. I'm excited.
What's the strongest tornado in your opinion?
I really don't even know. It's a great question. I don't like answering this question because I just don't think there is a strongest tornado. Because the strongest tornado could be a tornado that didn't hit anything at all. Like really, like I mean, El Reno could have been obviously, and who knows? I mean, even the ones with radar data, they may not be perfect. You know, they could have missed a little bit of data in between the scans. I mean, I really can't answer that question. I just really don't think there's a true definitive strongest tornado ever, which I actually really was thinking about making a video on that. I had kind of a video idea, was like, I think it was going to be called something along the lines of the search for the strongest tornado ever, I think is what I was going to, not that, but there was I have a phrasing for it that sounded really good. And I was going to make it over it, and I was going to like showcase all the different tornadoes and just kind of all the different strong tornadoes, like describe different ways of measuring which is the strongest. But at the end, I probably will conclude that we don't know. I mean, there's no way to actually know genuinely what the strongest tornado was. Could have been in a different country. Who knows? I mean, it's impossible to answer that question. I think it's just a really hard question to answer. I don't know.
Do you remember the 1990 tornado in
Yes.
Plainfield, Illinois?
Plainfield is on my list, actually fairly high up on my list to make videos of, by the way. Just letting you know that. I know, that's what I always think. I was thinking about the Native Americans and like actually how many tornadoes they saw. I mean, who knows? I mean, you see all of their art and stuff. There were so many tornadoes depicted throughout their history, and I mean, those are just the ones they depicted. So I mean, who knows how many tornadoes actually like they saw, especially the ones in like the Iowa areas, and like Oklahoma was filled with a lot of like tribes and stuff over the years. So I mean, who knows? Yeah, I can agree with that. I think Piedmont was really high up there in terms of strength. It definitely is top 10, easily top 10, probably top 5, could be top 3.
What is the crazy blizzard you've seen?
Um, I think last year, no, I can't remember if it was last year. No, it was the year before, 2024. There was a really crazy, we were like 50-mile-per-hour winds, and we had like 12 inches of snow the night before, and then we had like 4 more inches of snow, and it was like 50-mile-per-hour winds, and it was like -10 or something. And it was just awful. That was probably the most insane blizzard I've seen. Being from southern Iowa, we don't have quite as many as northern Iowa, but it gets rough. It definitely gets rough. About you? Do you remember any?
I just remember it being cold. I don't go outside.
Not in the snow, that's for sure. Pretty good day so far. I mean, hasn't been too much of the day. What is it, like 1 p.m.? I had practice at 8 a.m. And my last practice of the season. I have conference swimming all next week. I'll be gone for the entire week, missing a lot of school. I think missing 3 exams, so that won't be very fun. But yeah, no, I'm last practice of the year was today, so kind of excited to get into storm season. That's for sure. Have more time to make videos.
We were gonna go picnic by the lake, but it was so windy. It was so cold.
Yeah, no, it was. It's actually like decent outside, especially where we're at right now. It's a little chilly. You can feel it on your hands and your face and stuff. But where we were at before, it was a gorgeous spot. Like I should have taken a picture. Maybe I will on the way back. But man, it was cold and really windy. This spot's like right in the sun, so it's like perfect. We got a lot of trees around, so it shouldn't be blocking us. But yeah, this is a good spot right here.
What's your favorite football team?
Vikings, Minnesota Vikings. I like Iowa State though for college.
Do you like the Bears?
Bears are fine. My mom's actually a Bears fan. So it's funny. My dad's a Vikings fan. My mom is a Bears fan. My sister's a Browns fan. My brother's a doesn't really watch football, but I think he would probably be more of a Bears fan, and then I'm a Vikings fan. So it's kind of like I followed my dad's pain being a Vikings fan. But yeah, no, I'm a Vikings fan. I don't know what we're gonna do at quarterback. Sorry, I'm making this football, but yeah. No, still back. I probably would. I personally think the TIV is a lot more safe and better of a chasing vehicle. I actually would probably appreciate being in the TIV more. I think it'd be really fun sometime. But I do know Reed does know the limits of Dominator 3, and I think I'd be pretty comfortable going with him, that's for sure. Because I think he knows the limits of it, so like whenever it's a too strong of a tornado, he won't go into it. But I think TIV is probably safe up to probably 200, I'd say, if I was being honest. At least 200 would be somewhere along the lines, but I do know Reed knows enough about the storms and can kind of tell when he needs to not go in it. So either one of those would be fun. I think it'd be fun to chase with Reed. The couple times I've met him, he's really fun to talk to. So definitely would be in on doing that someday if he ever invited me, but or if I ever just had the chance to see it in person. I've seen the Dominator. We saw it last year in Nebraska, and then I've seen it a couple times in Iowa. I think twice in Iowa, but I've never like had the chance to go up to it yet because I've never gone to like the conferences yet because it always is during swim season. Like right now is when the chase conference is, whatever, and my conference swimming next week. So I just never had the time to actually do that. But yeah.
What colleges would you recommend for meteorology for the NWS?
I would say Iowa State is probably the best for severe weather if that's really what you're into. And then next, I'd say OU, obviously OU. Texas Tech has a really good meteorology program. They're kind of underrated especially for grad school, but I know that Texas Tech is one of the better ones. So it's a really good one. I think a lot of people don't realize how good Texas Tech is for meteorology. So that's probably my like underrated pick. And then I probably would say number one's Iowa State just because Iowa, that's a little bit biased. And then obviously Oklahoma, but Iowa State's a really good severe weather school. They're really into chasing and stuff, so they're not going to like dismay you from it. Like a lot of other colleges, people don't know this either. Even like Western Kentucky has a good meteorology program, but they're like completely against chasing. Like they will be mad if they find out you're chasing. But at Iowa State, they're like into it. Like they have classes on storm chasing, and they lead groups and different things. Like it's like a whole thing at Iowa State. So if you're a chaser, I'd say Iowa State, and for severe weather, I'd say Iowa State. OU, same thing. They're not into chasing, but obviously they don't care that much. At Iowa State, ironically enough, I know a lot of the guys that go there, most of the professors are storm chasers and like actually will take classes off sometimes when there's storm days because they want to go chase themselves. So it's like really funny. I think that's like the best place for storm chasing if you want to go to college and chase is Iowa State. But Texas Tech's a really underrated one, and I'd say that's probably my number two because I think OU's just a little bit is just a little too much like bigger. I think Texas Tech is the like number two though for me. All right. That was a really long talk. I wonder. Yeah, Tiv 2 is probably better. Baseball team, I'd say the Cubs, which is really funny because I'm a Vikings fan, but I actually like the Cubs more for baseball. Storm chasing, I would say start out with some other people, whether it's your parents or whatever, especially if you have your own knowledge of weather. It's fine if you go with someone else that can drive you. Even if they don't know about weather, it's fine because then you can kind of manage it yourself. Like you can say, oh, let's go this way because you'll be the one like calling the shots, but you can also focus on like the weather stuff itself and not driving. So I'd say really initially I'd start out with somebody else, even if it's just a friend that drives or whatever else. I think that's the best way to get about it because then you can figure out what you need to do on storms without actually having to drive yourself because that kind of adds a lot more into it. Because I personally like having somebody else. Like when Ellen comes with me, I really like having her help navigate and even she knows a little bit about radar and stuff and about like looking at storms just enough that it helps enough even when I'm driving and she can help drive too sometimes. But it just is a lot better driving and going with someone else, especially if they already know about chasing. But if they don't, it's still fine because you can still kind of help manage them. And then also, because you don't have to drive. And I think driving itself adds a lot to like the stress and the overall just decision making when you're chasing. Unless you know how to chase drive, you kind of need to practice not driving first, if you know what I mean.
Missed this one. What's the most photogenic tornado you captured? And then also, what are your plans for the 2026 season?
Very, very, very good question. This one will take a little while to explain here. So I'd say my most photogenic tornado is, that's a tough one because I like Mount Air, but I don't know if I can say it was my most photogenic. I really think that Lacona, Iowa, or Pleasantville, whichever one you want to call it, it was closer to Lacona, and I was in Lacona when I took it, but people call it the Pleasantville tornado. But I'd say Pleasantville 2023 was probably the most photogenic tornado I've seen. That or Carbon 2024. Either of those two. They're basically the same tornado if you look at my pictures. But I probably would say Pleasantville, which is an interesting choice because I've seen a lot of photogenic tornadoes. But that one's probably number one. Now for 2026, I plan on chasing a lot more. So my class schedule this year actually is pretty favorable for chasing. So a lot of the times, even during the school year, I should be out there. If they're within probably 5 hours, I'd say would be a good range while school's still going on. And then also during the summer, I plan on doing lots of chasing. So my job is really flexible with chasing this year, and also I'll be making videos too. But even just my regular job I'm working as a pool manager. It should be very, very flexible to go chase, even choose the day of to be able to go chase anytime I want. And I also do plan on getting a new car. I'm looking into a RAV4 that's probably 2020 to 2023-ish range with about under 100,000 miles I'm looking for. And I should be setting up some sort of car camping situation so I can go for longer chases for a couple days in a row, for over the summer especially, because I plan on chasing a lot. I really want to go after it this year and try to get a lot more stuff than I had in the last couple of years, especially last year. I missed out on a lot last year. It was just a lot of stuff didn't line up well and I didn't choose my days well. But this year I really plan on going after everything. And then into May, I do plan on taking probably one trip at least to Oklahoma for a week or two. I don't know how long yet. And I'm going to be chasing everything down there in late May. So it should be a really good stretch of storms at the end of May this year. But I don't know. I plan on making this a pretty good season for chasing and going after a lot of stuff. And I'll be making videos, obviously. Every single chase I get a good tornado, I will be making a quality like recap kind of video of it. So I really do plan on expanding content and everything storm chasing wise on YouTube. So yeah. 2026 tornado season, I have been looking at a lot of things that people have been posting, and it really seems like June. This June in like the Midwest and upper Midwest looks to be really, really conducive for tornado production. Like I really think that this June will kind of be the main chasing time this year. I obviously like May's going to be whatever, but it looks like March and June have been the two main like months that I've seen. Like late March, and then I've seen a little bit about April, but I have not. I actually looked like May was supposed to be a little bit less, but obviously a lot of this stuff's just kind of, it's not made up, but it's a lot of like speculation and kind of looking into old years and stuff. It's really helpful to do that, but it also isn't necessary, I don't think. Like for me, I just wait. And I mean, for me, I'm looking at the first time when I notice a chase is coming up is like a week out. And that's like my first look is like at the GFS or Euro model. And I see that an upper level trough coming through. I'm like, okay, there might be a chase in a week from now. But other than that, I don't really look into severe weather too much. I try to like not look at that seasonal stuff and get my hopes up for anything too early on. But yeah. Favorite tornado I've covered and documented, I probably would say it's Greenfield just because of the fact, well, one, it was my first one, so it's just like, just a little different. But I also saw it. I think it's really, there's just a different feeling when you're making a documentary over a tornado you like actually saw. I think it's really cool. And I plan on doing that hopefully over the next couple of years, if I see any major ones, making the videos on them. But yeah, I feel like Greenfield's definitely probably number one for me. My favorite video I've made is Rochelle so far, just because I just put a lot more time and animation skills into it than I ever have before. So that's my favorite, but every video from now on should also be my favorite from now on, if you know what I mean. Just continue to grow and improve editing and everything else in the video making process. Yeah, twin tornadoes are crazy. I've seen two sets of twin tornadoes. One was an actual set of twin tornadoes. It was Kyoto and Hedrick. I saw them the very beginning of the ending of. I saw a lot of Hedrick, and then I saw the very very beginning of Kyoto, and that was insane. I wish I would have had a better angle then. I was just playing it too aggressive, and I jumped on that first storm too quick. I mean, this was 3 years ago at this point, so I mean, it was earlier on in my chasing, I'd say for sure. And then I saw one, it was near Harvey, Iowa in 2024. It was 2023 or 4. I think it was 2023 actually. And it was some really weird day. The storm was moving like 5 miles per hour, and it was just like two of the weakest tornadoes you've ever seen. They happened at the same time, and it was really funny. I barely can call that twins though. I would say obviously Kyoto and Hedrick were like main twins. That was like one of the better twin events in the last 10 years. So yeah, that's what I'd say. I'd say I've seen two, but other than that, it's like I have not seen an anticyclonic tornado as far as I can remember. I missed out on the one in Texas this year, and there's not that many a year, so it's really hard to get to them, but I have never seen one as far as I can remember. But I never know. You never know. Some of those weak ones could have been, and you just don't think of it or don't even realize it. It's hard to look into all those tornadoes you've seen sometimes. You just see them and you kind of put them in your database or whatever, and you don't look back at it like what it did or whatever, unless they're like a major one. But no, I've never, as far as I know, have seen an anticyclonic tornado.
What's the worst tornado you've ever seen?
Widest tornado.
Oh,
That was Essex from this year. That was actually we both saw that tornado and then blew my windshield out on accident. That was not fun. But we both saw that. That thing was like, 1.4 miles wide. At the first part, I remember when they thought it was like 2 miles wide. It was like the largest Iowa tornado ever at first. And then they brought it down to 1.4 miles. And I mean, it's like number 2, I think. That thing was insane. Oh, man. Uh-oh. Yeah, Kyoto was insane. And it was moving so fast. Yeah, Enderlin was insane. I'm glad I got a video out on that quick. It did pretty well, and that was a really fun one to make. It's Man, that thing was insane. I wish I could have been able to chase that day. It was just in North Dakota. No way I was going to chase that. This year, I think I would have, though. Um, it would have been a very reasonable day for me to go up for a couple days because there were a couple chase days in a row. It would have been a pretty insane day because, I mean, what Spiritwood, I think, is the EF3. Yeah, Spiritwood was incredible. That was one of my favorite tornadoes this year. That's my like sleeper pick for favorite tornado of the year. That thing was insane. And I got to help one of my friends out making a thumbnail for it. And he had probably the best angle of it. And man, it was a beautiful tornado. That would have been one of the ones I would have rather seen probably than a couple of the main ones people think about. It was a little rain wrap though at the end. So Tylertown, that is actually, I started a script for one a while back. And I just never have gotten back to it because I've been trying to make these other videos. Ow, I'm stretching a little bit. But I never got back to it. So maybe at some point I have started the script and made the thumbnail. I think I made the thumbnail for it. But I've been more preoccupied with these couple last ones. I made the Eli tornadoes coming up and then Rochelle. Those two are really interesting ones that I wanted to get out quick. And then I'm thinking about making that other style of video next. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, if you guys want to become a member for just at least $1 a month, that's the lowest, but that's you get all the same stuff. You can actually vote on these tornadoes. I'm going to hold votes every single time I have a tornado documentary coming up. I'm going to right after I upload this next one, I'm going to put a poll and have maybe 5 or 6 tornadoes, and it'll just say whichever one you want the most, you vote for, and it only will be for members. I have about 30 right now. So if you become a member, you'll have a really good chance of helping to sway which pick I have. But yeah, it's just $1 a month. So if you want to become a member and help decide the tornadoes that are for my videos, there you go. I will still take recommendations in comments, but they'll probably be added to my actual polls. So if you want to comment and then also vote on your poll, then you can do that too. But you have to be a member to do that. But let me know always I take recommendations. It always helps me out to know what you guys want to see, even if I don't pick it right away.
It says, what will you do for 20,000 subscribers?
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. Maybe I'll make some sort of special video. I don't know. I can't really think of what would be good because my goal is to hit it by, what was it, summer, I think I said? Yeah, summer-ish time. So June or before. Oh, no, it was before we left school. So May 9th, I think. That was my goal. I don't know what I'd do. We'll have to, I guess we'll see. We have plenty of time until then, so we'll see. Hands are cold. Hands are cold, but it's not too terrible out here. Some Pringles.
Check the weather. 40 degrees.
That's why.
Feels like 30.
Not very fun. How many? That's up to you. You could just do a special documentary of some sort. I don't know what the best way would be. That's what I'm trying to think about, what I could do. I don't know, maybe I'll hold a vote on that too. That's a good question. I don't really know. I can't remember what the tornado was that I watched. It was one of the first ever tornadoes I tracked. Man, what was it? Which year was that? Was it 2020? And it was, what was it? What was that town? I cannot think of the town right now. I can't think of it. Somebody's got to know the town name of the tornado. It was the first tornado I ever actually tracked on radar. Yes, Noonan. That's what it was. Yes, that was the first tornado I've ever seen on radar. That was a major one. Yes, that is exactly what it was. That tornado was pretty insane. I will definitely make a documentary over that for many reasons. Number one, because it was the first tornado I ever tracked on radar, but number two, it was a pretty incredible tornado. The second one I ever remember tracking was Mayfield. Obviously, that one was pretty crazy. I remember I had like a swim meet the next day, and I was like up. I didn't get to see the whole thing. I mean, I watched the first like as it hit Mayfield. I remember watching, but I had went to bed, and it was like it obviously went on for another 2 hours, basically. Welcome in. I think we'll go for about 15, 20 more minutes or so. We'll end it around 2 o'clock. I think we started at what, like
120,
1:20? Okay, yeah, so we'll go till like 1:10, 1:15.
210, 215.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I do appreciate you all for tuning in here on a Saturday afternoon. We're just hanging out here. I just wanted to do this so I could kind of talk to you guys about some stuff, see if you guys have any questions before we get into season. But yeah. Rolling Fork was crazy. Ironically enough, I go to this weather conference in Des Moines every year. It's the NWA radar and I can't remember what they call it. Radar and I don't remember what they call it. It's just NWA conference in Iowa, and man, that thing is always super fun to go to. They have some really good presentations. We also have this radar workshop that's really fun. But anyways, we there was a group of like 8 of us, and we were all just tracking it at the same time, and we were all like, it was terrible. I mean, Rolling Fork was one of the worst in recent history, and we were all tracking it together, and it was just awful as we were sitting there watching it. I mean, these are like meteorologists, like really educated meteorologists and students that all really know what they're talking about, and it was really interesting to hear what they had to say about it. It was really like beneficial to me to be there at that point and kind of just see what they had to say about it. But man, that was a really rough one. I I almost got to see Winston today. Yeah, Pembroke's up there for sure. What states? It's really hard, like I said earlier, to kind of pinpoint a specific area of states and regions even that'll do well. It looked like a lot of the upper and central Midwest, so I'd say Iowa, Illinois, even northern and central Missouri, looked to be pretty active during the months of like March and I think it was July. July looked like central and northern Iowa looked like the main areas, and Nebraska, obviously eastern Nebraska, and then southern Minnesota were those areas. But I don't know. It's hard for me to ever decide what the like main focal points of severe weather are going to be. So obviously, the general areas, but I'd say that kind of stuff. It doesn't look like it's going to be a down year. It doesn't look like it's going to be an insane year. It just looks like a normal year, but you never know. It could go. There could be a couple days that just randomly decide to produce tornadoes, and a lot of days that don't. So it can go either way. Still, at this point, it's not the signal's not strong and it's not weak. So I don't know. Yeah, that's crazy. Sometimes I just open radar and then something's going on. I'm like, oh, okay. Most of the time nowadays, at least, I know what's going on. I'm kind of watching for it. But I remember back years ago, whenever I used to check SPC once a week or something, and I was like, wow, why is there a high risk here? Just Easter and stuff. And I remember that was the Noonan day, and it's just funny to just some back then, especially just looking and finding random days and random tornadoes that just happened. I remember I was sitting around and I looked at my phone. I'm like, what? And I had to like refresh because I saw like different people posting about it, and I thought it was fake. And I saw enough people and enough like respectable people. It was like, man, what? I don't even remember where I saw it. I think it was like I can't remember what I saw it on first, but it was something like really dumb. Was it? No. I can't remember what it was, but it was something like really random, like either on some weird app or something. Like it was just random. It might have been Twitter, but I think it was something else. Like I think it was just odd. Like maybe it was someone's. I think it was someone's Snapchat story. Like, like I think it was actually a Snapchat story, which is even funnier. I don't know. I was thinking it was somewhere random. Yeah, that was it was a crazy day. There wasn't yeah, it wasn't really wasn't a super active day though. There were just a lot of like a couple major tornadoes. Let me know if you guys have any more questions. We're gonna go for about 10 more minutes here, and then we'll end it. I am in the process of making the Eli tornado video. Um, I'm thinking a week from today is a decent estimate on when it'll come out. It'll either be next Saturday or the next one after that at noon. It'll be one or the other. I don't know yet. This week will be busy for me because I'm at conference swimming, but there's a chance I could get it done. I don't really know if I will, but I'd say probably safer bet to say next weekend, but maybe I'll surprise you guys and it'll be this weekend. Yeah, no, I that was probably one of the least expected EF5 upgrades like ever. Because I mean, it was EF3 and it barely hit like a lot of stuff, and nothing looked major. It was just because of the train cars, which is really cool. I think that's really cool, though. I don't know if Pembroke's on my list. It's not a huge list. I have about 20 tornadoes on the list, but I can add it. That's for sure. I know Noonan's on the list, but I don't know if Pembroke is. Pembroke is. Weirdest tornado is definitely Gary. Gary's up there. I can't remember where it was, but there was a couple years ago. There's this really, really, really noodly, wispy tornado, and you could see like the entire updraft portion of it. And it was like the entire sky was just filled with this one. It looped like 4 times. That's probably number one. Somebody else has got to know what I'm talking about on that, but because it was on Twitter, I don't even remember. It probably was Colorado. That's the only place I could think of. Colorado or Texas. Those are the weirdest tornado states sometimes. But Gary is insane. I mean, likely probably not to see something like that for a while. Greenfield looked crazy at the beginning, and obviously Mount Air the entire time was pretty incredible looking. The weirdest other tornado, I saw one in July of this year, or last year, and it was the weakest tornado I've ever seen, and it barely could tell it was a tornado, but you could see it rotating in the updraft, and then you could see the little bit of a wall cloud base. That was probably the weirdest I've seen recently. That thing was funny, but I guess it's a tornado still. Most violent tornado I've ever seen is easily Greenfield. Number two is probably Kyoto. I could see it being Carbon, but I also could see it being Essex. I think Essex is way underrated just because of it hitting literally nothing. Like it quite literally hit nothing. But it also didn't have ground scouring really, so it kind of may not have been as strong as it could have been. Yeah, I'd say that's probably it. And then let's see. Weirdest tornado. Welcome in. Ooh, EF5 in 2026. That's a great question. I really don't know. Obviously, like I'd said on a couple things, I don't know. Now that the floodgates have opened and we've got another EF5, I really think we're kind of back into the generation of having them again. I could easily see there being an EF5 tornado. You know, I mean, we get those EF4s every year. We got 190 mile per hour, two 190 mile per hour ones this year. And now that we've had an EF5, I really like Diaz. I really could see like some either upgrades. I don't think we're going to see too many upgrades, but I could see a couple. But I really do think this year I'd give it about a 60% chance of us seeing another EF5 and probably like a 20% chance of multiple. But I think it's a higher than 50% chance we'll see one this year. Like honestly, in all honesty, I think we're kind of since the floodgates have opened, we've had an EF5. I don't think people are going to be as hesitant to like actually issue a EF5 rating anymore, which I think is interesting. I think that's not how it should be. I don't think we should have had a 13-year drought of it at all. But I don't know.
What do you think of the new SPC outlook form?
In terms of public, I don't love it, but they're not really made for the public anyways, which is kind of what people don't understand. That the SPC outlooks are more for internal discussions between weather service offices and meteorologists, and then like obviously you guys have seen like Weather Channel, like the tornado Torcon maps and whatever. They're not going to change, and those are more for the actual public. But the SPC ones are kind of for internal use, and like chasers obviously use them, which is a more of a use. It's for people that kind of know more about the weather itself, as while like Torcon and stuff is for like, just random people that see stuff. So I think they're fine, and I actually don't mind it. I don't know why we have triple hatch. I think double hatch would work fine, and also I think the scaling's pretty good. I just think triple hatch is a little weird. I think double hatch would have been perfect. Okay, let's see. That's a good question. I think just there's a lot of like not politics, but not it's like scientific politics. You know what I mean? Like as in debates, and you're always going to have people being mad about what you rated a tornado, no matter what you rated. You could have an EF2 being rated EF3, and people are going to be mad. And it just takes a lot of information to look into the history of the houses, into the construction quality of the houses, like if there was any rotting. Like in the Eli tornado that I'm doing right now, the house that was rated not EF5, F5, actually they looked into to see if it was ever rotted and see a couple different other things with the tornadoes past. And that's really important to looking at the actual integrity of the building quality. And they also look into how it was built. They look into how the bolts are created and stuff. They look into the quality of the bolts, if they're rusted. I mean, there's so much stuff they look into on this rating. And that can just take a lot of time. And also they want to get reviewed 3, 4, 5 times, peer reviewed, people on the outside, people on the inside of weather service offices. They want to talk to engineers, everything, literally everything they could do to confirm a rating is accurate and not overblown or underdone. They try to do that. But a lot of times it still comes down to, we don't want to put out an EF5, EF4 rating because it sounds significantly worse than it should be. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that goes into ratings, and it just takes a long time, and calculations take forever, and a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of, like I said, politics that are involved with it that limit or kind of inflate ratings sometimes for tornadoes. Welcome in, everybody new here. I agree. I really hope we don't get any major ones, or even like Enderlin. Well, I guess he killed people though. But I was thinking like how it did the damage to a train. Those are the kind of ratings we want to see. The like trains flipping and a couple things like that, like tree damage that can do it, ground scouring. Those are the main things that like could be the most, like, I guess, I don't know, I can't think of the word, the least catastrophic, I'd say. Which I think is kind of crazy that you can get an EF5 rating from a train flipping, because I think they should almost be reserved for like a destroying like a city, but I can see it makes sense. But because one of the things when you read the rating scale, it says catastrophic widespread catastrophic damage is EF5. So that kind of implies that you have like a city that gets destroyed instead of, a train getting flipped or a couple houses even like Eli. And that was the F5 scale, but still I feel like it's really hard to rate one house or two houses like that. But they've tried to do that over the years. And like, I think Rochelle, I don't think the damage was significant enough, but I think it was widespread enough that it could have had a chance to be EF5. And I think like Parkersburg is the perfect example. There are, for an EF5, they had like 10 houses that are like completely destroyed. You have a couple EF4, but a lot EF5, and they're well constructed. That's like the epitome of a EF5 tornado. And it's just, I think it's really hard to match that without a city being destroyed. And I think it's almost shouldn't be able to rate an EF5, but you should be able to. I don't know. It's hard. It's a really hard discussion. I think it's really good to add these new damage indicators like trains and all this kind of stuff. I think it's really helpful for scientific reasons to actually be accurate on wind speeds. But overall, I think it's hard to like, I don't know. I think El Reno's as strong as people like think it is, like it is supposed to be, but I didn't hit enough. You know, it's the EF3. You know, I don't think it should be upgraded at all. I think because it's a damage based scale, I don't think it should be upgraded. Um, unless we're gonna have another scale that has radar wind speeds also, I don't. It doesn't deserve an upgrade because it is a wind damage, a damage based scale. You know, the EF scale is not based on wind speeds. It is based on estimated wind speeds from damage, and it did not do enough damage. So it's really hard, and that's another thing here. Like I was saying before, it's really hard to quantify like tornado damage in a way that tells you wind speeds, and it makes it really like makes discussions difficult on like why we don't use radar because some people don't understand it's completely damage based. It does not matter if it had 5,000 mile per hour winds or whatever, you know, ridiculous numbers, and it only flipped over a lawn chair or took down a tree or two and got EF1 damage. It doesn't matter with this scale, and that's just how it is. I mean, unless that changes, which I could see it changing, it's going to be like that, you know. Yeah, Piedmont is up there with some of the most incredible damage ever. With the oil rig getting flipped, I don't even know what wind speeds it could have had. I mean, that it driving a like oil rig out of the ground that was already like completely like into the ground, hundreds of feet down. Like, I mean, who knows? I mean, there's some estimates on it, but there's no way to know actually how much wind speed there could have been on that thing. It's incredible. That was one of the most insane damage indicators ever. Controversial? I don't know. It's really hard to say. Like people want to say Rochelle, but the damage was not quite probably significant. There were so many houses though rated at high end EF4 that it would be justified to be EF5. I don't know if the damage was quite EF5 level, but I think the widespreadness of the EF4 damage could get like I could see it. I wouldn't probably recommend it, but the difference between 200 mile per hour rating and 201 is kind of insane. There should not really be that distinction ever. I don't think. But there's a lot of like ratings that are similar to that. Oh, it just died. Hold on, guys. The chat just died on the iPad we were using, so I can't say anything right now. But yeah. Anyways, I don't know. It's a lot of rate. Every rating's controversial. You know, every single rating that has ever been on a tornado ever could be confirmed to be something else with one more damage point or one more. Who knows? You know, one more house gets hit. You never know. I agree. Greensburg's up there. I'd say I really think that Parkersburg is very high up on that list. It was one of the more violent and widespreadly violent tornadoes ever. Um, yeah, I'd probably say Rolling Fork is probably one of the most also because it was just moving so fast. And obviously, like Gerald was up there because it was so slow moving, but it had such violent damage. But it was because it was so slow moving. But I'd say Gerald's up there just because of this movement speeds. Actually, the movement speed's scary because then it gets over your house and just keeps going. And then obviously, you know, Mayfield and Rolling Fork, just how fast they're moving. Those fast moving tornadoes are a little more scary, I think, personally, just because I mean, you can't do anything. It comes through in 2 seconds and then your house is just gone. And then Parkersburg just is so massive and just such a violent tornado. Exactly. There's just no like logical way to actually get wind measurements for every tornado, and that is very understandable. Closest encounter? I have not answered that actually. Well, I've actually driven under a tornado before. Actually, I wasn't even chasing at that point, but I took a video of it. Um, but the closest chasing encounter was probably, I'd say it was Nicollet, Minnesota from last year, and I was like 500 yards, I think, from it. Like that's pretty close in tornado terms. That's what I use as my like profile picture. So that's that picture. The most beautiful storm structure I've ever seen. I kind of went over that earlier, but I'd say the Corden area in 2022, and then in 2023 the like Bethany, Missouri area. Yeah, I agree. because it is a damage-based scale and always has been, so I think it should stay one. I do agree also. I think they should really try to add a lot more damage indicators that are more like widespread across housing and everything that there can be, or it can be. I think I know what tornado you're talking about, actually. That was crazy looking. It is cold.
It is getting cold.
Whew. Quite chilly. All right, we're going to go for 5 more minutes here. Got any last questions? Make sure to answer them, or I'll make sure to answer them. And also, like I said before, if you want to become a channel member for as little as $1 a month today, you can start to help vote on all my documentaries. From now on, I will be holding votes for every single documentary video that I make, every single week that I make them. Right after I post the one before, I'll upload a new poll for my members. Now, like I said before, you will still be able to comment and whatever else about if you want a specific tornado, put it in the comments, and I'll still put it into my list if I think it actually would be a good one to make one over. And then every time after I make a video, if you are a member for even just $1 a month, you can vote on those videos. I have about 30 right now, so if you become a member, it'd actually be pretty skewed because I usually get like 15 votes, I think, on members only polls right now. So if you became one, you'd have a pretty good chance of helping to skew the ratings in your favor for a tornado video. Yeah, I've actually been thinking about making a Yellowstone tornado video. That would be a fun one. It's fun. I'd say the northern portions of it nowadays are a lot more fun, like Iowa and Minnesota, because Oklahoma just gets a little crowded nowadays. So I would definitely, if I were you, recommend Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota, South Dakota areas, as opposed to like May and Oklahoma. Even though it's fun to do that, and I'm definitely going to do that this year, you have to kind of do it. It's a lot more fun in June and July in Iowa and Nebraska and Minnesota areas.
It's getting cold.
It is freezing. Yeah, we're going to end this in about 3 minutes, so ask any last couple questions here. It really ended up getting cold. It was fine. I think the sun just started.
The sun went behind a tree, so it's getting colder.
Yeah, and it's just getting a little later in the day. Actually, it should be getting warmer, technically, in theory, until about 4 o'clock.
We're in the shade now is the problem.
That's probably true. These mics work from really far away. Like, I could probably walk over to, like, at least my car. I could probably walk down the road. Prediction for this year? I don't know. All I'm hoping is that I get 20 tornadoes. That's my goal right now. Is 20 tornadoes. I got that in 2024, and then last year I got 8. So I'm trying to hope to get back to 20 or more. The amount I'm going to chase this year is hopefully going to be conducive for 20 tornadoes, but we'll see. It does depend a lot on if we get any good early season chases around this area, because that'll just help boost my numbers before I actually am able to go a lot. But we'll see. I'm thinking 20 is my goal. I don't know. I don't really think it's weird. I don't really think like past weather has too much of an effect on recent like new weather coming up. The only thing I know that really does impact like tornado season is the EML region in Arizona and New Mexico areas. When that gets moist and you have a lot of rain there earlier in the year, you're going to have a lot better chances of actually like in the summer months having a lot better moisture and not having like completely cooked like mid-levels that can cap off events. Like, so when you get that EML region to be really moist, you get a good active Oklahoma, Kansas areas, Nebraska areas, and that usually occurs in the earlier months of the year, and you'll kind of notice, be like, okay, there's a lot of rain there. That could mean a lot of tornadoes in the May and June and July times of the year, but we'll see if that happens. Ohio area is pretty good. That's a good area for tornadoes. A lot of good chasing in the northern regions of that state. Every year there's at least one or two decent photogenic tornadoes up there. So I would say you have pretty good chances if you can find a good day to do it and be in the right spot. There's a lot of luck involved with storm chasing. A lot of luck and a lot of patience. That's another. Patience is probably the most important thing with storm chasing. Appreciate that. Ooh. Yeah, there's been a couple. There's been a couple F and EF5. No, I don't know if there's been any EF5 tornadoes. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's been an EF5 tornado in Ohio. No? I can't think of any tornadoes that have been in Ohio that have been EF5. I know there's plenty of F5 tornadoes from the super outbreak. That's the 74 super outbreak. Brr, it's cold. All right, ask your last couple questions and we're going to end this because I am cold. Brr. I'll answer 2 more questions. How's that? And I'm going to warm up. Oh, yeah, definitely. I know that'll get broken. I don't know what the limit to tornado size is, but I don't think it was El Reno. I think there's a chance we could get a larger tornado someday. I don't know. Maybe not, but I really do think someday we will get a larger tornado. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. It's a good question, though. Yep, I knew those couple that we had. All right, one more question. Start getting my laptop out. We'll have to do this again when it gets warmer. We can do this for a while. It's kind of fun to just sit around here.
An hour out here is probably max we can do at this temperature.
Yeah, that's for sure. Oh, man. Freezing. My hands are frozen.
What's your favorite tornado that you've chased?
My favorite tornado chased was Mount Air. Easily. Very easily that. It was just the whole day was incredible. Seeing Lincoln and then going through a couple other weak ones and then seeing Mount Air was pretty insane. And it being 3 tornadoes was kind of cool too. All right. I think we're going to end it here. We are both frozen. My hands are numb basically.
My hands are just cold. Otherwise I'm fine. I wore layers.
Yeah, I didn't. All right, guys. Well, I do really appreciate everybody for tuning in here. But yeah, it was good to see you guys. We'll probably have another one of these at some point. And if you have any other questions, I always try to respond to comments and everything. So, yeah. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. I really appreciate you all for tuning in, and I'll see you. It's cold. All right, here we go.